folks, and welcome to the channel, or welcome back. And in this video we're not going to work on cars for once, but I'm going to show you on how I'm going to fix play that has developed on lifting mechanisms on a tractor or any other vehicle that is having pens and holes, and over time these areas do develop wear and tear, and then it becomes very difficult to control the attachments that are mounted onto it. They wibble around and you have all kind of problems with it, as you have seen most likely in my previous video on the Chinese hatch trimmer. So let me show you on how we're going to fix this. To give you an example, this part was mounted like this and connected to this rod here, and in this bar there's a hole, and then of course there's a pen going through it. And this is the actual pen that is supposed to go through it, but you can already see how it's bent and worn out. So let me put that in there and then you can actually see it. See that play? It's a lot of play. So how do you fix this? I already made a new pen, which now can go through the hole, but again, the hole still has a lot of play. Although the part that goes across it, I actually have it already been reworked. And now you can see how nice that pen fits. There's no more play on this. So this is what we're going to do in this video. We're going to be fixing two areas. I'm going to take this bar off, and also we're going to fix the top part. And of course there are many different ways to tackle this problem. You can go out and buy all new parts, new pins, new lifting bars, all that. But that's going to cost you a lot of money. And secondly, you may not even be able to find them. I've taken the part of the tractor, and now we can have a closer look on the hole that we have here and on the pin that goes through it, and I'll show you that in a minute. There's also a joint here which is movable, and there's a joint on this side which is movable. Now this side I already have it re-welded and a new part on it some time ago, but on this side I haven't. So this is the area we're going to work on first, and you can see how much play there is. So no wonder we couldn't control the positioning of the hatch trimmer. So that's what we need to fix. Now over here we actually have this part that fits in it, and I already have kind of prepared a new pin for that. I know I still have to weld the top on it, or the stop on it, but that's what's going to go through it. So this is going to go through like this, and again, lots of play. So in essence, this part goes on like that, and then the pin is going through, and that should not have all this play. So what we're going to do first of all now is to weld up this hole. So I'm going to use my MIG, but you can use any type of welder that you have to fill up this hole completely. You may even want to put a nut in there first and then weld that nut in there, you know, so it's really well locked and sealed up. And then we're going to drill it out to the right size of the new pin. Now, either you make the pin yourself, or you get a strong bolt or something, a bolt whereby the thread is not going all the way to the end, but you find bolts that have this, or you can even find metal bars that, you know, of the right size. It doesn't matter what size it is, as long as it's close enough. I've gone for a 17mm pin because that's what was the original one. So that's one area we're going to fix. And the second thing we need to fix is this whole thing here, and now this is far more difficult because this part needs to be able to rotate inside, but again you can see the play. Now typically there's very little you can do about this. Normally you cut it off and you get a new eyelet or a new endpoint. Now I think I might do this by welding on a big washer that will fit around the edge here, but of course I will need to drill that out and find out what the best spot is, and then we'll see how that goes. It is not the most or the best solution, but it is an interim solution until I get the new eyelets, or whatever you want to call these things. I'm not sure what the exact name is of that. Alright, and the first step, as always, is cleaning up. And we'll clean up this part as well. So we're going to start filling up this hole. And you can decide to weld it all up, and it doesn't matter if you use stick welding or MIG welding, it doesn't really matter as long as you can fill it up. Or you might use actually a nut and try to fit a nut in there. You may cut the edges off a bit, and that gives you already a pretty good start. And now we're going to weld the edges. Here we go. And that's the first weld. It may not be the perfect weld, but it certainly is very well in place. So now we're going to flip it over and weld the other side. So on this side, the nut is sitting very deep. So I'm going to put in another nut from this side and then weld it up again. The same way as we did it with the first one. And then this will then be the way the other piece will fit over it. But of course, we still need to drill the hole to the right size, which is in my case 17 millimeters. So let's start drilling this. All right, I locked the piece in place, so let's drill it out. And voila. That should be it. Now that the hole is drilled, we will clean it out with a brush. And now we can actually do a trial fit. I already created a washer at the end of this new pin, but you can make it the way you want. I just welded on a washer. I didn't show you that because it's pretty straightforward. And I drilled a little hole over here so I can put a cotter pin in or a pin in to lock it all in place. So let's see if it's going to fit. So let's take the part. I put this up and it's still a bit hot. And on the other side we'll put the cotter pin up. There we go. And now we have that all fixed. And as you can see, of course it has to move like this, but there is as good as no play up and down. And that's exactly what we wanted to achieve. So the next thing we're going to fix is this rotating joint, and it has a lot of play, as you can see, and that's a bit too much. Now I'm gonna grind off this edge here a bit more, and it's already been grinded off a bit. And then the principle I'm gonna apply is to use a washer, a thick washer, that I'm gonna make bigger, but I'm not gonna do it in a straight edge here. I'm gonna have it a bit concave so it fits the contours of this ball. And then I'm going to weld that on there, and now it's of course not done correctly yet, and then I will weld one on each side, and then we should have a fairly snug fit. It is not the best solution, but it's about the best one I can come up for the moment. So let us start preparing this washer. And to create this ring, you will have to have a lathe, and if you're very brave, you could do it by hand. But I'm going to use an old lathe that I bought years ago, and it's a second-hand one. It's a small one, but it works perfectly, and you can get them on the market for very cheap prices. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to actually cut it from the inside out. So let me put the washer in, and then we can actually start doing it. Spin it up once to see. That doesn't look all that straight to me. So let's correct that. This is sitting a bit further. This is still not far enough, so need to give it a bit more. And I already checked that the actual opening I'm going to need is about 36 mil. So I have to take off quite a bit of this washer here, as you can see. So let's start. I think we need to take off an additional millimeter. So let's do that. And I think that this is about it. Yep, so let's give it a try. What I have done is creating two washers that are a bit concave inside. So there's a smaller side and a bigger side. And I'm going to weld that on here and the other one on the other side. And let me show you what that would give you. So if I weld that on both sides, then I can move around the ball inside and the play is removed. Now in essence, you can actually grind all this off on both sides, and then you can remove this whole part and put a new part in if you find one. But I don't have the part for the moment, and I need to get this fixed. So this is how I'm going to fix it. It's going to last for a while, but not forever, of course. I'm going to try to tag weld this in place. I think this is about right. Yep, that feels good. So let's do this side. I'm doing spots because I don't want this to distort. So now we're going to do it the other side in the same way. So I tag welded in place, so now you can see we can still move this around nicely. And it's a bit hot for the moment, so I'm going to weld it all up. Alright, we are done with this piece. So we have now everything moving properly, both sides. I'm just going to put some grease up, and then we'll assemble it, and then we are ready to install it. So let's put it together. There we go. And put the pin up. And that's it, and we all set. So I think this looks quite all right. I'm just going to wipe off the excess grease now.